Hi, I wanted to give a little background on my story and just tell you a bit about myself. I was a gymnast for 21 years and competed at both the collegiate and the elite levels. I was the first alternate for the '96 Olympic team, competed at the University of Utah in college, and was a three-time NCAA champion. I earned a lot of awards and I feel like I accomplished a lot within the sport, and I also had a lot of lows. I dealt with tons of injuries from the time I was, I don't know, 10 years old. I feel like I was just constantly injured and dealt with some long term injuries as well, ones that took a year or two to fully recover from. And then I tore both of my ACLs and had to have surgery. And then my career actually ended with a torn rotator cuff. It was the last thing that I did at NCAA's in 2003 on bars. I just was going from the high bar to the low bar and hyperextended my shoulder, and I tore my rotator cuff. So, needless to say, that wasn't the way that I wanted to end my career, and I struggled pretty intensely following that time period. And I just want to be transparent here because I know that there are a lot of people out there suffering with similar things, and I want people to maybe have hope that there is a way through and that there are people out there that understand. So I'll be a bit transparent with the things that I struggled with. During that time, I had pretty extreme disordered eating patterns and had very extreme depression to the point of, suicidal thoughts. And so I had read a book in college by the Dalai Lama called The Art of Happiness, and that book really resonated with me because it made me think there's got to be another way. There's got to be a way to really feel fulfilled regardless of what you're accomplishing and what you're doing. And so I started reading more about meditation and mindfulness practices, and it was during that time that I started kind of playing around with the idea of meditation. I guess it was nothing really formal, but the seed was planted. And so, fast forward a couple of years, I decided to go back to school to become a physician assistant. So I got my master's degree at the University of Utah, and still was struggling with the body image stuff and the disordered eating. But I guess, given that I had something that I was working towards, it helped with that. And then in 2007, I graduated from PA school and worked in pulmonary medicine, then worked in orthopedics, and just kind of felt like I wasn't fulfilled in medicine. And so, always looking for the next thing to do or try. And so I decided to join the Army, which isn't too far-fetched because my dad was in the Army, my sister was in the Army. It's just kind of in my family, and it felt like the thing that I needed to do. I wanted to kind of be part of something bigger than myself and have a little bit more autonomy in medicine, which you can have in the military. And so in 2009, I joined the military as a physician assistant. And then in 2010, I deployed to Tikrit, Iraq. And really, my tour over in Iraq it was scary for sure, but I met so many good people, and I really learned the importance of working together as a team. And I had great coworkers and made really good friends. And so, I'm thankful for that time of life. Unfortunately, when I was over there, I got pretty sick with a virus, and as soon as I came back from Iraq in 2011, it was like the year following that my exercise tolerance just started decreasing. I was getting really fatigued. I had no stress tolerance, or limited stress tolerance, I should say. And I got out of the Army in 2012. I had only owed 3 years at that point. So I did my time and I got out, and I was just kind of noticing that I didn't have the reserve to work much anymore either. So I was working part-time at the Veterans Administration Hospital in psychiatry. And then, things kind of just moved really fast in my life from that point on. I met my husband, we got married, we moved to Monterey, California, and I had my son Mason. And, I struggled once again with the depression and pretty extreme anxiety during my pregnancy, and then postpartum, I struggled with that as well. But, up until that point in my life, I had had pretty extreme physical ability. I was able to perform gymnastics at a high level. I was able to do things like triathlons and run half marathons and hike mountains, even though I had the depression and the anxiety. I was working with things in terms of meditation and mindfulness on the mental and emotional side. But it wasn't until about 3 months postpartum my system basically crashed. And I think, years of stress in gymnastics, and then always kind of needing to meet high expectations, it culminated after the birth of my son, which, if you've had children, you understand that it's exhausting. And I just didn't have any reserve. And so this was in about December of 2014. Yeah, 2014. And so from that time, so we're looking at about 5 years, my body has never been the same. And it's been about the hardest time of my life. And talk about periods of extreme depression, because I've lost so much physical function. I've been unable to drive because of the brain symptoms and a lot of neuromuscular symptoms where I can't exercise anymore, things that affect my breathing. And so it's been challenging, to say the least. And it's also taught me so much about life and what truly matters. And I'm not saying that health doesn't matter, because it does. And when you don't have health, it affects your mood, it affects your family, your friends. So health is important, and it's still something that I'm in the process of recovering. But I feel like when you lose the things that define who you think define who you are, when you lose the things that you think define who you are, it forces you to dig deeper into who am I really? For me, it was, now I don't have gymnastics. Now I can't work. Now I can't work out. Now I can't really go out to eat with friends or family. So who am I? If I just kind of live at home and can't do a whole lot, who am I? And it really deepened my mindfulness practices, my meditation practice. And I brought in a lot more of self-compassion and understanding. And I do believe that I'm in the process of recovering my health and healing, and it's coming from a very deep level. And that's another reason that I decided to finally go all in with Fit Intuit and offer my life experiences, because I know I'm not the only one living this kind of wild ride of life. I mean, we all have our ups and downs, and we all have our story. And I think if I can connect with those of you out there who have been high-level athletes and don't have athletics anymore, those of you who are struggling with health issues, depression, anxiety, military veterans, active duty people, I feel like there are many avenues through which we connect. And I just hope that we can connect, and I hope that everybody watching this knows that they deserve happiness, and that it's possible to, truly love who you are and love your life, regardless of what life throws at you. You don't need to do it alone, and I'm here to help in any way that I can.